a prosecutor for 18 years. I worked for President Trump. He's my friend. And I can tell you he surrounds himself with a lot, all strong, bright, brilliant women.
Donald Trump didn't waste any time choosing a replacement nominee for his choice of Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. Pam Bondi, the former AG of Florida, the new pick, is a longtime Trump ally. But there are important lessons to be learned from the Gaetz debacle, ones the gung-ho Trump team could benefit from internalizing as it continues filling out key posts.
How have your meetings been today, sir?
They've been going great.
Barely a week had passed before Donald Trump's first pick for Attorney General had withdrawn.
Holy I didn't see that coming.
Matt Gaetz respectfully stepping aside was the right thing for our country and for him.
There's not a path, and if there's not a path, you're going to spend a lot of political capital for a losing cause.
The former Florida congressman's defenders blame smears, Republican spinelessness, or hard feelings over Mr. Gaetz's outser of Speaker Kevin McCarthy. On X, Mr. Gaetz wrote, "While the momentum was strong, it is clear that my confirmation was unfairly becoming a distraction to the critical work of the Trump-Vance transition." But whatever the Trump team says publicly, Mr. Gaetz's liabilities were all his own.
Do you think that somebody who has been investigated by the DOJ for sex trafficking of a minor should be in charge of the DOJ?
It's not my decision, it's the president's decision, but Matt's a colleague, and he's someone who's worked really hard against the weaponization of government, the lawfare that's happened at DOJ. He'd be an instant reformer if given the position, and I understand the pick.
The biggest liability was the recently concluded House Ethics Committee investigation into a long string of allegations. As related in a committee statement from June, they noted, quote,
"Sexual misconduct and/or illicit drug use, shared inappropriate images or videos on the House floor, misused state identification records, converted campaign funds to personal use, and/or accepted a bribe, improper gratuity, or impermissible gift."
Mr. President, are you reconsidering the nomination of Matt Gaetz?
No.
Mr. Gaetz looks to have convinced Mr. Trump that these probes were no different from what the former president went through with the Hillary Clinton-funded Trump-Russia collusion narrative. But this was very different.
Any reaction to the Ethics Committee? They said they're not going to release the report after their meeting today, at least at this point. Any response?
I'll be honest with you. I've been focused on what we got to do to reform the Department of Justice. I've been meeting with senators. I haven't been paying much attention to that.
So what are the takeaways? Lesson number 1. Not all allegations against Republicans are partisan shams. It's a tough pill to swallow in light of witch hunts against Mr. Trump and targets like Brett Kavanaugh, but the GOP, as the law and order party, still has a duty to make careful distinctions or risk ceding the argument to the other side.
The fact that we have to ask whether the Republicans will support making public allegations of sexual impropriety by someone who is trying to be the highest law enforcement officer in the country speaks volumes of the Republican Party.
Lesson number 2, take your lead from people who know, not MAGA Twitter insurgents. Republicans are well versed in defending their brethren against nonsense attacks, even their unpopular colleagues. But there was a reason few, if any, Republican members rushed to Mr. Gaetz's defense. They know him.
Mr. Gaetz breaks things to break things, and then once he breaks it even more. And that is somebody who should not be the Attorney General of the United States.
Lesson number 3, there's a bright line between a candidate who is aggressive, committed, and professional, and one who is unthinking, partisan, and a liability. Donald Trump has chosen a solid lineup of the former that includes Linda McMahon for education, Marco Rubio for state, and Chris Wright for energy. Mr. Gaetz was always clearly the latter, big on bravado, short on ideas and temperament.
I'm not interested in a process that would just say, well, because the president has named him and you have Republican chairs coming into the new Congress, we just move people out. There needs to be legitimate vetting. When I say legitimate, I mean just thorough vetting that the committees do. This is our job.
What Mr. Trump perhaps missed is just how seriously senators outside his inner circle take the problems of Justice Department politicization. Above all, they want someone serious and aggressive, but also someone who can command the respect necessary to rebuild trust in the department irrespective of party allegiance.